everyone, and welcome to the Doomtombpodcast. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today I'm going to do a very short intro because we have kind of a long interview with this upcoming band. First off, I wanted to remind people that the band Green Druid is going to be out on tour in the month of September. They're going to be in Salt Lake City. They're going to be in Boise, Tacoma, Seattle, Portland, Eugene, Sacramento, Oakland, Sonora, Stanton, Vegas, Phoenix, my stomping grounds, kind of like in the Tempe area, El Paso, Albuquerque, Colorado Springs, and Denver. Check them out. You won't be disappointed. Check out their material. You're going to love it. That is Green Druid. Also, just saw a few days ago the band Worshipper on tour with Old Man Wizzerd. What a great show, man. I got to put a link in the show notes, but I know that I will be putting that interview up very, very soon. And I think that's about it. Let's get into this. This was done at the Rebel Lounge in Phoenix, Arizona. This is the band Salem's Bend. So we are looking at about 12:15, just after midnight, in back of the Rebel Lounge in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm with all of the gentlemen from Salem's Bend. Gentlemen, could you please introduce yourselves?
My name is Zachary Hewing, and I play drums.
My name is Bobby Parker. I play guitar and sing. I'm Josh Feld, but I'm subbing in for Kevin, the great bass wizard. Kevin Schofield.
And where is Kevin right now?
So Kevin,
Roger from Dead Canyon is just walking by.
Dead Canyon rocks. Dead Canyon rocks.
And also the drummer from Take Over and Destroy. They're going to be both going to be playing really soon. So go ahead.
Kevin had some work he couldn't get out of. He's just kind of started working at Netflix, so he had to fly out, and so Josh flew out and met us in Montana, in Kalispell, and to finish out the tour with us. So.
When you were in Kalispell, did you were you working with Wizzerd?
Yes.
Did you play with Wizzerd?
Yes.
I know they're from Kalispell.
Yeah, those Wizzerd guys are awesome. They're super cool.
Yeah.
Band. We played with them once in Long Beach, and so when we were going through Montana, when I saw that our tour was going through Canada, I was like, dude, we gotta hit Kalispell and rock with those guys.
What's the scene like there?
It's actually pretty cool. It's like, it's a small town, but from what Wizzerd was telling me, it's a very kind of conservative Christian town, but there's like a underground of like kids. So we played old school records, and it's kind of this underground. It's literally underground. It's like a basement. The venue is in the basement of a record store. It's like a dank, smelly basement. But yeah, really cool.
It's really cool vibes. I feel like you're like at a private party they have to be invited to, you know?
Right,
had that kind of vibe to it. And
Yeah.
The record store was great too on its own. I feel like it was like a college party again.
Yeah.
So low ceilings. Good place for some amplification.
Literally bumped my head on the ceiling.
And random mannequin sitting in the chair the whole time. It always freaked me out every time I saw it.
Yeah.
Looked over and I thought there was a human there.
A very, very punk kind of vibe. And so like the scene, like the people were really excited just for anybody coming through town because it's like, it's not a big place. So
you would recommend that space for people coming through. And give it one more shout out. What's the name of it?
That's Old School Records in Kalispell, Montana.
All right, you heard it here. So if you're touring up there, head over to Kalispell. That's a great space to check it out. Now, so you're on this tour, which I love the name, the Vampires Tour, and you're coming towards the close of it. How has the tour been so far?
It's been awesome. It's been cool.
Right? It's been almost 3 weeks now, but it feels like we just started 2 days ago. So
Yeah, it's been kind of just flying by.
And what are some memorable places or some places where you felt were really hot, like especially the scene?
I mean, personally, I really liked Edmonton for many different aspects. Like, just walk around the city, everyone's friendly. At the show, there's a good vibe with the local bands. The people came out to see them. The venue was great, too. That's been a little bit of a highlight for me. But also that record store, too.
Who'd you play with up in Canada? Because I see some bands, they'll come across, maybe say the I-10, and they'll play at different shows, and they'll stay in the U.S., and I know, like, Great Electric West, they went over to Canada. I don't hear it a whole lot from bands going up there, so what can you tell me about just touring Canada? I mean, decent people, and who were you playing with?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the people were great. It's very, like, they fit the stereotype of Canadians as very, very nice. I mean, it was noticeably nicer than
super
than
cordial.
the U.S. I mean, yeah, it's just like everybody's very polite, very nice.
The bands we played with, there was a two-piece that opened up in Edmonton. Yeah, a lot of two-pieces.
Almost every band we played with was a two-piece in Canada.
And they were kind of heavier with a little bit of a blues influence, if I remember right.
There was the Shanks were really cool.
Yeah.
They were from they weren't from Calgary. We played with them in Calgary, but they weren't from there. They were from somewhere else further east.
Right.
The Shanks were really cool. We played with we played Vantopia, which is a crazy festival in the middle of nowhere, Alberta.
Some people having some custom vans and stuff.
Yeah, there's a ton of classic vans, great bands. Like one of the bands we played with that was real cool was the Mothercraft. Those guys were great dudes, real killer music. Another one that was really cool was Woodhawk. Woodhawk was another one from Calgary.
Who were the two guys in Calgary that ended that one show?
Oh, that was the Shanks.
The Shanks. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Those are guys.
I mentioned those guys. Those guys rocked.
Did you play with a band called Haze or The Haze? Just Haze. I think it's Haaze. They contacted me. I put one of their tracks up a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah.
Great band from up there.
No, we didn't play with those guys. I feel like this sounds familiar, but I don't think.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Canada was really cool. We had a lot of fun.
So what's the difference in, I know we were talking just for a few seconds before we got on mic about places to eat, and apparently in the U.S. it's Waffle House.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Well, yeah, it's become a tradition basically. Anytime we go through the South.
It all started at a Waffle House, I believe, outside Tucson.
Yeah.
Maybe last summer. We stopped in. We literally from the moment we walked in the front door, ordered, walked out. It was maybe 8 minutes approximately.
Right.
So we were kind of entertained by that nice little tidbit. We're like, we should go back to Waffle House and time ourselves again. Did that 2 more times. So after you do something 3 times, it's tradition. You gotta keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's where we are now.
Yeah.
So kudos to that crew at Waffle House. The one time the guy sent it out in 8 minutes because now we're loyal customers.
Yeah.
So now while you're up in Canada, what were you, what was the food of choice and where were you going?
I have different dietary preferences than these two. And what I mean by that is I don't eat. I can cuss, right?
You can say whatever you want.
I don't eat shit on the road, so I try not to, and I also don't eat meat. So,
we don't eat shit either, literally.
No, but the struggle is real for me. But I mean, in Canada, it was I don't know. They have chain restaurants up there. Subway. Actually, I had some really great pho up in outside Edmonton.
Really? Wouldn't think that you'd get it up there, but
I think I had 3 nice meals of vegetarian pho while I was up there. So yeah, there's hope.
Tim Hortons pho. I don't think they're making that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening. Maybe some coffee and donuts, but yeah. So what was the other thing you had? You mentioned earlier.
We had to try poutine, which
right?
is like Canadian staples. That's like the gravy and fries and cheese curds or whatever. I mean, it's greasy and terrible.
The
and
poutine
delicious.
was a little salty. Also, too, the pizza game in Canada is a little off point right now. Just a heads up.
Well, okay. According to Zach, it was off point. According to Kevin and I, we had a great time with their pizza. It was different, but
what's the drama with it?
Let's just say. I mean, the crust. One time, the crust was like a Red Baron crust, so it had like the texture of like an oven baked pizza you buy at a grocery store. No big deal. Second time though,
Red Baron. Let's put that on record.
I got the vegetarian pizza, and they put pineapple and olives on it, which don't go together on a pizza, but I digress with my pompous vegetarian ways.
That's a nice salty sweet combo, but I agree. I don't think so.
In their defense, I didn't actually read the menu, so I just saw vegetarian and got it.
Yeah,
so by all means, it's my fault.
Yeah.
And so tell me about are you full vegan or do you
if it's in my control, what I mean is like if I can control it, I will. But if I go somewhere, I'm not going to make them change the menu for me. You got to be reasonable about it on the road. Like you can't just expect places to bend over backwards, especially coming from working in the restaurant industry for years. So yeah, you make exceptions, and also you go out, you have a few beers, and you make more exceptions. But you just make sure no one's looking when you cheat. So
Yeah.
have you ever tried like a full raw diet?
No, not quite. But I mean, close to it.
There was a place that I used to live in West Palm Beach, Florida, and there was this place called the Hippocrates Institute, and all raw. So they didn't cook anything over 115 degrees or whatever it is. A lot of dehydrated stuff. Some of the other stuff they were really big into juicing, especially wheatgrass, and they did something that I don't know, it might not be everybody's cup of tea. They preferred to call it an implant. They did wheatgrass implants, which is basically enemas, daily wheatgrass enemas.
Oh my God, what?
You can definitely go crazy with it. And coming from LA and Southern California, yeah, you see, I haven't seen the wheatgrass enema yet, but I'm sure it's out there. But what I tell people, like, look, it's all about moderation,
Yeah.
Nothing's absolute. So just don't eat T-bone steaks 6 times a week.
Yeah, just give it a little time
Just
to
5 times a week.
Yeah, sure.
You got to let the body digest a little bit. So, all right. So I got to talk about this set, and I was hoping to hear some songs, and I heard every song that I wanted to, and I love the last release. Can you tell me, are you planning on getting something else coming out soon? Or are you working on stuff?
Yes. So tonight we played we played 3 new songs that will be on the upcoming album, and we're recording right now. It's just about maybe halfway done.
Right.
So I really wanted to finish it before the tour, but it was just, I recorded myself in our garage kind of practice space. That,
Sure.
Built double walls, acoustic treatment, everything. So we get good sounds in there. But it's just kind of taking longer than I expected. So it's
Drums are done on it.
Drums are done.
Yeah.
Drums, yeah.
Waiting on you guys.
Yeah, waiting. Yes.
Whenever you can
yes.
finish it.
Indeed. So drums have to be done first, so that's why they're done.
Right.
So we're hoping to finish it maybe next month and try to get it out later this year.
Well, I got to tell you, man, if anybody hasn't checked it out, I know you have the traditional black, obviously, but you also have that multicolored vinyl. Do you have a say in the color scheme or anything, or is that just kind of up to the people pressing?
Yes, we did have a say. It was kind of Todd from Ripple, sort of his idea. But yeah, you definitely have a say. He sort of recommended orange and black and yellow just because of the cover. The
Sure.
cover has orange and brown and black, and so he figured that was a good combination. I agree. It looks cool.
It looks gorgeous. I don't know. I'm just starting, honestly, to get into vinyl. I don't have enough yet. But I got to say, I know I've heard stories about, I like the sound of the black better. I like the colored for this and that. I'm a sucker. I'm a mark for color. I'm a mark for the splatter stuff, the stuff that looks just completely odd or completely different. I think it's something fun, and it's bringing something different that I think other genres are starting to notice this, but I definitely first started noticing it just in this scene alone.
Yeah.
It's unique. I think it makes it look unique and looks cool. So yeah.
Totally.
Would you mind if I went over a few of the tracks?
No, please.
All right. First off, you played this one song that I wanted to hear it just for your soloing specifically, and that was "The Tip of Salem."
Oh yeah.
What can you tell me about that track?
Oh, that's gonna be on. Bobby wrote it, and on the record you listen to, that's him on the instruments, mixing, mastering, everything. So the actual impetus of the song might be better for him. But me joining up with him 2 years ago now, the song is great because like sonically there's a lot of open space to sort of experiment with and kind of push different tempos maybe and pull it back and get loud, get soft, get jazzy, get straightforward, 4 on the floor, or do whatever. So me as a drummer, it's fun to play. It's fun to play. And then the closing outro on it too is just great because it's just, turn it up, let it rip, and watch Bobby run all over the floor, soloing, and then try to hear the right notes when we know we're coming out of the solo, which is kind of difficult sometimes. But, there's a body language cue in there. But that's as far as what I can say to the song playing live. That's, my input to it.
Yeah.
Anything you could add to it?
Yeah. So that one, it is a favorite of ours to play. We do usually close our set with it just because it does have the sort of exciting outro.
Sure.
And we pretty much always extend the solo twice as long or longer. Just for fun, just to kind of mix it up from the album. We try to have a little bit of like kind of some jam time where it's like,
sure.
We play the song like you hear on the record, but then we kind of just experiment and have some fun and just jam on it so that it's not like you're just listening to the CD or whatever. It's
I really enjoy that. I love going to a show, and note for note is cool because you hear it, but I love to hear a little bit of addition, a little bit of something different. It's almost like when you're going on tour and you have on-tour merchandise. Like, look, don't bother asking for it online. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to sell it shows only. So it makes it just a night a little better, a little more important to like actually come out and support the bands.
I mean, tonight, we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet as a band, but on Tip of Salem, there was a part that I don't know if you noticed, but we kind of quieted down in that solo part at the end, and that was something that I just kind of heard what Josh was playing, and we have a history of playing in a past project, so I kind of like heard that rhythm and kind of quieted down, and it felt right. It was the first time we kind of did that, but we just kind of went with the vibe, and it kind of sounded like a cool thing we could do. We can duplicate again, but to your point of just like changing it up off record, and every night maybe just feeling something different and landing that bird,
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I just love hearing it. What can you tell me about Mammoth Caravan?
It's pronounced Mammoth.
Mammoth?
Mammoth. No, yeah, Caravan. No, yeah, it's Mammoth Caravan is that one's a fun one. That one, it's funny. It started with a riff that I wrote. It's like the oldest riff I ever wrote or something. It was like something I wrote in like 2008.
Right.
And like I only learned to play guitar in like 2006. So it was like one of the first. Oh yeah, sorry. I've been playing since I was a baby. I came out of the womb shredding. No. So it was like an old riff, and then the main riff in it, I came up with and then added it to this old riff, and I eventually just scrapped the old riff, and then I just like the name Mammoth Caravan because I love woolly mammoths.
Sure.
And so, I just thought it was fitting for the way the song sounds. Like it's kind of.
He also has a Dodge Caravan. So
I do have a Dodge Caravan. Our first 2 tours were in the Dodge Caravan. So.
So are you a fan of the woolly mammoth because of like the Flintstones, like the vacuum cleaner that they used to use, where out of nowhere all of a sudden the character or whatever, whether it's the one I liked? I liked the bird. They would be when they would put the record on, and the bird lifts his head up for a second. He says, "It's a living. What are you gonna do?" Yeah. And then goes back to it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. I think they're just like a cool animal, like a big furry elephant. Did
I tell you what I was reading about how they're trying to bring back woolly mammoths too?
Yes.
With the DNA?
It's a real thing. In China, they're trying to clone the woolly mammoth. They've fully sequenced its DNA. They're trying to basically put it into like an elephant, like unfertilized elephant egg, and like birth a mammoth
and bring back a mammoth. Yeah.
So I would just donate all my money to ride a mammoth or something. I don't know.
Just get a mammoth ride.
I would just that would be my life savings.
It's a good side business. I know a lot of bands, they need a little side project to garner income. So free mammoth rides.
Yeah,
Not free. I apologize. You want to charge for the mammoth ride, of course. And I heard they work for peanuts.
Yeah.
See what I'm doing there? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bad joke. What can you tell me about Sun and Mist?
Sun and Mist is another one that that one actually started with the drum beat. It was a beat that I just thought was cool, and so like I try to. Oftentimes, the song I start with a riff, and then we try to develop a song from a riff. But it forces me to think different if I start from something else. So it started with the drum beat, and then that kind of dictated the riff. And then I wanted to do something with like Celtic mythology, just because I like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so the lyrics are kind of based around this this Celtic song about this dude. I can't remember his name, to be honest, but it's like basically he goes into the like Tir na Nog or whatever, and that's where like it's like the land of the fairies or some shit, and
okay.
He you don't age there, and so he goes there and he hangs out with some people, and then he comes back to his time, but he all the years he spent there, he just suddenly ages when he comes back to the real life, and he gets all old. So yeah, it's vaguely about that.
Okay.
But
did they meet like Tom Warrior and then that's how they formed Celtic Frost, or
yeah.
You think that's how that worked?
Yeah, I think so. I'm
not completely sure.
Yeah, it's somehow related to that in some way.
Well, it's good to have like crossing over different genres. So, we have this great genre here, and then why not bring in a little bit of Celtic Frost?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Maybe we could eliminate Cold Lake. Because Cherry Orchard's not so much.
I have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about.
Okay, then I think we should move
perfect.
on. Sun and Mist?
That's the one we were just talking about.
No, Losing Sleep.
Oh, Losing Sleep, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Losing Sleep is that one I wanted to have a song that was under 3 minutes.
Sure.
But that also was kind of cool and fun and exciting, because I feel like if somebody's going to check out your record and they haven't heard anything from you, they don't know who you are, and they just stumble upon it on YouTube or something, like they're not going to listen to probably 7 minutes of Tip of Salem. It's kind of a long song to invest.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I got to have a song it's like anybody will spend 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They'll spend 2.5 minutes. So
it's called a hit. It's called a single.
Yeah, it's called a single.
I mean, Billy Joel said in The Entertainer, you got to keep it down to like 3:05.
Yeah. So that was what I was kind of trying to go for. That one is like, I want something under 3 minutes that's kind of just a tight punch, and it's it's lyrically it's about like nightmares and just not sleeping.
Okay. Silverstruck?
Silverstruck that's the instrumental on the album. That's a fun one to play. We haven't played it in a while, but that one that was actually the first one I recorded for the album.
On our first tour together 2 years ago, that was our opening song, because it goes right into Balthazar.
Yeah,
it was a nice.
We would go right
segue.
into either Balthazar or Losing Sleep.
Yeah. So
kind of
it's
just
a
straight from
2-minute
it.
intro into Get Loose and get the gig going.
Is that also the instrumental? Does that give you a little chance to move around a little bit, like you do in A Tip of Salem?
It does, yeah. I mean, there's definitely set parts to it, but there's a lot of leeway there to kind of move around a little bit. And to open with, it was great just to kind of, I don't know, just get loose, get those first couple notes out, and have that open space to, I don't know, try a couple licks to see how they're working with your hands, and also keep the song going. And then, hopefully it goes well and go into the full set.
Right on. Did you want to add something to that?
Bobby and I were just talking about this today, about rock albums and instrumentals and how they're kind of missing, and we
Right.
want to bring them back. So I'm sure that was part of it too, Bobby, for you guys.
I really thought for a while,
For sure.
From hearing the Metallica releases, from Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, Justice for All, they always had an instrumental, and I was like, maybe it's coming back, and then it kind of disappears. But I especially see it with this genre, that there's usually some instrumental somewhere along the line. I mean, we heard a great instrumental band tonight. I thought Heavy, spelled HVY. I thought they're fantastic. They bring it.
They're great.
You know, and of course we got Earthless, Karma to Burn.
Greatest songs I remember from my youth was Frankenstein. That's all instrumental, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So
I can't tell you how many countless radio shows I've heard that either open with that or put that as their segment spot song or what have you. Queen of the Desert, which I heard tonight.
Oh, yeah. Queen of the Desert, that one is, I guess that's sort of the single-ish from the album. That's the one that people kind of gravitated to. Todd from Ripple kind of especially, you know, that kind of caught his ear.
Right.
So we pretty much play that every set. And it's, that one, it's also one of the older riffs. The main riff in that I wrote when I bought my first amp, my first like real guitar amp. I just kind of like came up with that riff and I liked it, and so kind of went from there. And lyrically, it's about the Queen of the Desert is it's a mine in Joshua Tree. There's a mine that's just called Queen of the Desert Mine.
Okay,
and so it's kind of lyrically about that.
I'm learning stuff too about the song.
It's kind of like a, you know, if you listen close, it's kind of like a dual meaning. It's about, you know, it's like a woman in the desert, like who's the queen of the desert, or it's actually about just a mine in the ground.
Yeah,
so
make
it's like a little,
you know, listen to it for yourselves, people. Make up your own mind, figure it out, and you know, yes,
mine. Puns.
And how about how do you pronounce? Is it Belshazzar?
Yeah, Belshazzar. It's a that one is that one's a fun one to play too. We've been opening with that one sometimes on this tour.
Right.
That one lyrically, it's funny. That one lyrically comes from a misremembering of a Robert E. Howard story. Robert E. Howard is the author who wrote like those Conan books and whatnot. He's one of my favorites, and when I was coming up with that, I just sang Belshazzar because I thought it sounded like a cool word, and it kind of fit in with the melody I was coming up with. And then I kind of misremembered the story, and so I wrote the song lyrics about that, and I reread it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is nothing like that story. But I was like, whatever, still cool. And then the chorus is actually from one of my favorite movies, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
Sure.
So it's like I'm you know, kind of saying Black Blood of the Earth, which is just like a great moment in Big Trouble in Little China. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, I get it. And I like the name, and I would never have an idea where it would come from, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's another Google moment right there.
Google it.
Yeah, right over the head. So a little bit ago, you had talked about your amp, and I would like to go around to each of you, if you could, if you have something important about your equipment that you're interested in, or what are you using on tour, and how does it differ than what you would maybe use in the studio?
Well, yeah. So what I really love about what I use are my cymbals, actually. So I have 16-inch Zildjian K hi-hats, 22-inch Constantinople Renaissance crash kind of ride thing, Zildjian K 24-inch light ride, and then a Pice T 2002 22-inch also. My favorites, no offense to Pice T, but those Zildjians that I have this dark wash that just fits so well with what we're doing, and also too, they are bigger cymbals, but when I tell everyone, it's kind of like having a Ferrari. You can let it rip on Autobahn and go, 180, 200,
right?
And you can also drive to city streets. So those cymbals, you can let them rip, and they can be loud, and they can be just very powerful. And at the same time, there's a lot of dynamics here where you can come down and just sort of just dance around and be really quiet and articulate different notes that these guys are playing, that the song kind of like, really helps the song. That's why, hands down, I mean, I can talk about, the heads I use and how I tune, but those cymbals are like the main thing that, talking to someone after the show, then if they say anything about dynamics, it's because of those cymbals and the range they have. Right. So those are my pride and joy. And right. Yeah. And also in the studio too, they're great to record with. So, I just kind of go interchange them.
Do you know what kind of wood the drums are?
Good. So it's the original drum kit that I had as a kid. So I've had that thing for almost 20 years now. If I had to venture and take a guess, it's a Pro Export series from 1990 whatever. I don't know. Yeah, have any idea, Bobby, what kind of wood they would use?
In the Pearl Export, I don't know. It's probably
Nothing too fancy. I mean,
it's probably maple is a pretty.
yeah.
Like, it could be birch too. I don't know.
A few people I talked to, those Export series made back in, I think, 97 is when I got it, are decent kits. And, you know, if you know how to tune, and if you know what kind of heads you want to use, the wood is important for sure. You know, there's high quality drum sets out there that you can get and that are going to sound great recording and live. But half the battle, in my opinion, is how you tune, what kind of heads you choose to use, and how you strike them. So the wood is important, but more important is the tuning aspect.
Right. Is there anything else you want to say about your kit or something that you're hoping to get one day?
I'm hoping to get a better kit. No, I'm joking. I do have a drum kit in mind. A couple different brands out there, but I need a bigger kick drum.
Okay.
I need a bigger kick drum, and I'm not sure if I want to go. I'm thinking 24-inch, not 26. 26. We just toured with this great band. Give them a shout out to High Priestess for a while, and their drummer Megan Mullins, I believe is her full name. Yes, she's got an old Ludwig kit, and her kick drum is 26 by 18, I think.
Yeah, it's
the
big.
sucker's huge, and it boomed, and it sounded great, and they're great.
Yeah, she tuned it just right, man. It sounded awesome.
Yeah, so I used to say, 24-inch would be good. Mine's the 22-inch. I was thinking, 24 is like, being modest. I don't want to be like Tommy Lee or anything, get that huge.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yeah. I don't want to be like that. But, seeing them play and hearing their sound that she got from that 26-inch kick, it's like, that's on the fence, man. I don't know. But that is one thing I do want to add to my kick is a bigger kick drum. For sure.
All right. It's out there. It's out in the ether. So you hear this drum companies, hit him up because he needs a bigger piece.
Get this man a bigger drum.
I need to make bigger boom boom.
And who would like to go next with what they're...
You should go first. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's see. What am I using?
Especially the amplifier, and it's so unique looking. I haven't seen anything like it. Not like I know a whole bunch about it, but please go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I haven't seen anyone else using it. So I've got a Sun Model 5 PA cabinet from 1978, and it was designed for basically to use as a PA. So it's like a 412, and it has two tweeters, but I just disconnected the tweeters because you don't really need a tweeter for guitar.
Right.
And it's just all the original speakers, and it sounds great. I mean, they're nicely worn in, a good amount of mid range. They're not too bright. They're not too boomy. And it's what I especially like about it is just because it's different. I mean, it's like a regular 412, like a half stack, but it's tall and vertical. It's like
Right.
So it's kind of, it looks interesting on stage, and it's like it puts my amp kind of more at eye level.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to take a lot of space.
No, yeah, it doesn't. It's actually more compact than a regular half stack, cubic feet wise.
Right.
And it's lighter than it looks for how big it is. And so that was like a major score. Actually, I bought it on Craigslist. It was probably the best deal I ever got on on anything ever. I was looking. I bought a smaller one that was like a 210, and I just kind of got into the brand Sun,
Right.
And so I was just trolling Craigslist looking for more Sun stuff, and I came across that, and it said, it listed several things, and it said Sun Model 5, and it said $5. And I assumed he just forgot to put a zero and it's 50. And I was like, 50 is still a great deal. So I sent him an email and I was like, hey, how much for your Sun Model 5? And he's like, $5. And
Are you seriously?
Yeah. And he's like, actually, I found a second one. And I was like, well, how much for both? And he was like, $10.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You did. There's not a deal like that anywhere.
No. I was like, I'm coming right now.
Did you say it's like an old church?
Dude, yeah, a church. Basically, a church was selling their backline gear, and this guy, he didn't really know what it was because, they're not really like you can't really Google Sun Model 5 and find any information. It's like nobody uses them.
I'm sure it's God's plan for that to happen for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was perfect. I mean, I just drove there as fast as I could and just immediately bought them, and now they're taking up a lot of space.
Okay.
In the studio, but so that's what I mean. I use that for recording. I use it live. I bought, so I have 2, and then I found another one that we have for Kevin, which is what Josh is using tonight. Right. It's the exact same cabinet, but we just put in bass speakers so that it can handle more higher wattage, up to 600 watts.
Right.
For his bass.
Bring some power.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's especially kind of cool because then it's like we're kind of matching on stage, these 2 tall columns. And so I don't know, aesthetically it's kind of cool, kind of nice. And then I'm running a trainer Iron Horse with that cab, which is it's like a newer trainer. Trainer's a Canadian amp brand, very very good.
Big van
stuff. I love it. It's all tube. It's 40 watts.
Right.
And it's very hardy. It's great for the road because, I mean, it's like for the past 2 weeks it's been smelling like burning metal, which is bad, but it's still working totally fine. So,
well, you only got a few dates left, so
yeah. So it's it's a trooper.
So let me ask you this, because I really haven't asked this about this much of the bands. I assume that you tighten up your kit, your drum kit, when you're not on the road, and sometimes on the road. What about for your stacks, for whatever you're using after the road? Do you ever have to give it like a tune-up? Do you have to just like go through and say, all right, we're checking this to make sure everything's solid again, or you just wait for it to blow?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, waiting for it to blow is one technique. I like to, since I have this old weird stuff, I try to keep it, try to make sure it's like running in good shape.
Right.
Like, I'll after a tour, I'll just check out my cab, make sure nothing's loose. Put an ear on each speaker, make sure that they're all still sounding good. And then the amp, especially, I there's an amp tech in LA I take my amp to, and he kind of, checks it out, rehabs it.
Is it hard to find the parts?
No, not really. For the amp, it's pretty standard tubes. And then for the cabinet, it's like since I bought like extras, I have all these extra speakers. So if anything blows,
sure,
I can just replace it with the same like era, same year kind of speaker. So
right. Yeah, I don't care.
So
is let me ask you a question before you like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that vegan?
It's all organic, man. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. Next question.
All right. I'm sorry. I apologize, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please go right ahead. Commence lactation ceremony.
Commence lactation. Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. Oh, very good.
The
Yes.
flame.
Oh, that first drag.
The flames. He only smokes to look cool because he.
Oh, you weren't
he does
kidding.
look cool, so.
Those are cleaner. Oh, you weren't joking. All right, I didn't know. Shout out. I could always use another sponsor. American Spirit. Let's get on this shit.
You'd be so many people. I mean, I don't smoke them, but so many people smoke those. Yeah, because I don't smoke.
Yeah. It's a good thing this is a podcast and not a video.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you're using that really
yes,
is important for you?
Yeah. So my main thing is I do 2 amps on stage, so I have 2 slightly different signal paths. So I have that one, the trainer with the Sun cab, and then I have a Sun Solos, which is a solid state 212 amp, combo amp, and that one, it was also really hard to find. I spent like a year looking for one.
Right.
But I really love it. It's very hardy. It's got a great sound. It's just loud as hell. And I think it's especially a special one too because It's like from 1970, and the Sun Solos was one of their, like the Sun brand was one of their first, like they had a solid state power amp, but a tube preamp.
Right.
So the Sun Solos 2 was just all solid state. And mine, it says Sun Solos like the first one, but it's actually the Sun Solos 2 with the solid state preamp too. And so I think it's some weird like prototype or something, because it doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like the Sun Solos 2, but it still has the Sun Solos 1 logo.
Have you researched it online?
Yeah, I can't find it.
You can't find it.
So I'm
one of a kind there.
I think it's one of a kind. I got to contact Conrad Sunholm. I can't remember his name, but the guy, he's still around. He's making cool amps. He's not making Sun amps anymore, but he's making cool amps.
Right.
But I want to just maybe contact him at some point and see if it's like a prototype.
And what about the guitars? I know you're bringing several. I know some people just go on with one guitar. You got a couple.
Yeah, I like to have two, just one backup, just in case something breaks. Like on the last tour, I broke a string like mid-show, and so it's it takes a little while to restring it. So I just bust out the second guitar. But it's also because like it saves a little bit of time. One's tuned into D standard. The other one's in E standard. So like some of the songs are in D, some are in E. So
I did notice that on stage, you just roll right into the next song. Where when there's shows like this, I've heard a lot of they're doing the banter as they're tuning up, and I've dealt with that where people even blowing out their kick drums. I've seen that quite a bit.
That's always been I haven't had it happen yet. Knock on
Whatever that is.
Wood, yeah. But I think what I work on a lot is technique, so it may sound loud, but I try not to actually hit through the drum heads.
Right.
You want to hit them and you kind of bounce back. Same goes for the kick. So just try to have good mechanics, good technique, and those things are hard to bust, really.
Right.
Kick heads are really hard to bust. The one I have on right now, I've had it on there for at least a year and a half. So hopefully get another 6 months. Year out of it.
Yeah, it's still holding strong.
Yeah. I'll just quick shout out about my one guitar. That is great. And then I'll just stop talking about my gear because I could go on forever about gear.
That's okay. We still got to talk about the bass.
Yeah. So the one guitar that is my favorite at the moment is the Gibson L6. It's another just weirdo thing. If you haven't noticed, I like weird, non-standard.
It shows in the music. Not that the music is weird, but it puts it another level.
Yeah, I try to make it just be a little different. It's like I love the sound of a cranked Marshall amp, and that's what like a tone I would want to have. But like that's a lot of people have that already, and so I'm trying to like get a similar tone, but just using some different stuff, and just comes out a little more unique, I think. That's the hope anyway. It's
probably even frustrating for some people that are trying to duplicate your sound. Just fans playing it and like, I just can't figure it out. Well, maybe some of it's in the equipment,
Yeah, so it's like what I especially love about the Gibson L6 is it's kind of like a cross between the SG and the Les Paul.
Right.
It's got the single cutaway of Les Paul, but it's very slim and thin like the SG. Plus, it has 24 frets, and it's like you don't really need 24 frets.
Sure.
But it is fun, and I do often hit that 24 fret. Like it's actually like a I don't know if you call it like a marker or something. Like when I hit that 24 fret, and like Zach knows to like go into like, that's where I go into this part or whatever.
Perfect.
So like I actually use it like, especially for useful for the first tour. We had only practiced for it was 5 weeks before we went on the road.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, but it's like to fully learn the song from ground zero to go on our first tour. So it was like there were certain moments where I was like, I'm just going to keep playing until I hear the 24th fret. So
that's a good marker.
Yeah. We got a lot. And it's cool. You just go all the way up.
Yeah, we got a lot of markers like that in our songs, but our secrets, I'll say secrets.
Yeah, some of them are secret.
They will say a secret. No need to pass that.
Yeah.
How about? Would you mind? We could pass the mic over and talk, because I have yet to see a bass like yours. Could you describe it
I love this thing.
and what you're using?
Yeah, so I'm using a Epiphone Jack Cassidy signature bass.
Right.
It's a semi-hollow. It's absolutely wonderful. It's got a it's got a really gnarly impedance switch on it, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
Where it has a 50, 250, and 500 ohm impedance,
Mm.
and it just makes it, you can get a nice warm tone out of it. And 50, then all the way to 500, it gets pretty growly,
Right.
which is exactly what bass should sound like.
Yeah.
It's really given my Rickenbacker a run for its money. I will say that for sure.
Is that what you normally would use?
Yeah, except that it's very heavy and terrible on my back.
Okay. Well, maybe get a chair. You have it. Take a seat.
No chairs. I need to stand on things and jump around, and but other than that, I was kind of nodding when you guys were talking about the trainers. I have 3 of them.
Really?
2 of them are technically guitar amps, but they're 95 watts. But they're 1971 and 1970 trainer YBA 1As.
Right.
And then I have a 1968 Trainer YBA 3A, which is, in my opinion, the holy grail of bass amps. Screw your Ampeg SVT. It's a Trainer YBA 3A.
Mm-hmm.
They only made 200 plus of them.
Wow.
But that's also like an 85-pound head, and I'm not taking that on
And
tour.
that's incredible
Nor
just to
flying it
hear
every
that these pieces are still okay and they're still playing well.
Well,
And it's over 40
I got a
years
story
old.
for you.
How is that even?
Have I got a story for you about that?
Please go right ahead.
So, for some reason, it only took me 6 years to find one of these things because there's only 200 plus of them.
Sure.
But one guy had 2 of them, and he also had accompanying Big Bertha 8x10 matching cabs.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it would have been glorious. So I hit him up, and was lucky enough to get the head. The head came to me in the worst shambles I've ever seen an amp show up to someone in their life.
Right.
I mean, it was basically, it seemed like it was just dropped off of a truck from like 3 or 4 feet in the air. It's like 75, 85 pound head.
Sure.
I mean, the top of the box was off. The tubes were just, one of the tubes were destroyed.
Ugh.
Which is, I guess, the guys that revamp amps in Los Angeles are fucking incredible. And they had to wait to find a tube.
Right.
So that's kind of an issue. But like the transformers were all screwed up. It was a mess. But they did a fantastic job. So that was heartbreaking. I don't remember crying. I could have blacked out and cried. But that was awful. So I was working with a guy that I got it from in Toronto. And the reason why I got the head was because like another guy kind of bid on it and said that he was interested in it.
Right.
But didn't want the 2 8x10 cabs. And I said, yes, I absolutely want them. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
So after that debacle, he wasn't going to send it in whatever carrier he used before.
Right.
He was going to send it personal courier from Toronto and
Very
drive
nice.
it down
Well.
to L.A.
As well, he should have.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I wrapped it up in big old crates, put styrofoam in it. Like, I saw it go into the van.
Right.
Everything's wonderful.
Right.
So I'm waiting for a couple weeks. There's no tracking numbers on these things. So,
Sure.
2 or 3 weeks later go by. Might take a while to get down there.
Right.
That's fine. I'm a very patient man. So then I hit him up, and maybe 2 or 3 days later, he comes back to me and says, oh, man, I was on tour, and I actually got a phone call from the courier, and he said he was parked it. I don't forget exactly where he was. But
Oh,
he
no.
Parked it, and the entire trailer got stolen, which had both of my Big Bertha 8x10s.
Oh,
sitting there.
God.
So it's been a trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's haunting me forever. So
Look.
if there was gear that I would have, I would love to have those 2 8x10s.
There's got to be something in karma or whatever everybody believes in that something will come around again and they will be at your door one day.
I got 2 brand new Big Berthas too, so it's great.
There you. Something just happened to fall off a truck.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I will say, whatever that PV, I mean, you probably have more details on that PV amp, but that thing is, it's a solid workhorse, solid state. Real bitchin' growl on it.
PV 260. PV standard 260 is the amp.
Yeah, it's a lot lighter than you think it is, too.
Right.
But it sounds great.
Well, yeah, I just love it when I can go to a show and I can hear each instrument distinctively. Like there's no drowning, it's not muddy, it's crisp, and there's a bite. There's a bite to the. I feel that there's a. I hate using this word again, but there's a bite to that drum. as you hit, and that might be really due to your technique, where you're letting it flow. I don't know whether it's, I don't know the right technical term, whether it's like an inertia or what have you, but you're going with the flow of how you strike it.
It's letting it breathe, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the best solo or fill you can do is to be silent for like a beat or two and let the note before kind of play out and build the song from there, and let it go from there. But I don't know what it is, but hopefully I try to keep doing it every night.
Okay.
At least for me, I mean, John Entwistle is obviously a huge influence.
Right.
Should be any bass player, to be frank. But I always liked his like super trebly sound.
Right.
It really kicks up the high mids and the highs. So I think that's me. Maybe that's a little different between what's usually heard.
Right.
At least with these guys. But I kind of turn up the treble and turn down the bass a little bit.
Sure.
To get it right.
And that brings me to a few quick points, if you don't mind, because I want to thank you all for your time. I have a few quick questions. If we can go around, early influences, and first song you learned.
Ooh. Well, early influences, I mean, as a kid, I grew up around a lot of like old blues stuff that my parents listened to, and then of course you have like the typical, they listen to a lot of like Zeppelin, Hendrix, Deep Purple, Clapton, Kinks, just Rolling Stones.
Sure.
Your typical things like that. As I got older and you start to kind of step out and listen to new songs of your own, it was like mid-90s, early 90s, so like grunge was a thing, so like Nirvana, Pearl Jam. Those are things I just remember hearing a lot as a kid in the household, and in my adult life, some contemporary influences, definitely Ronnie Vannucci from The Killers. They were one of the first concerts I saw of theirs back in 2005. Well, actually, my first concert by myself was, I feel bad for forgetting to mention them, Queens of Stone Age and Foo Fighters. At a small club in St. Louis. I was 14 at the time. And that kind of like just completely kicked down the door to like, Dave Grohl's running around the little pit doing his thing. And it's like, who the hell is this guy? I get an elbow in the head and get out of the pit, because I was still a short guy at the time. But going back to technique and everything, why I like Ronnie Vannucci so much, and Mike Miley from Rival Sons, those are my top two these days. They're so articulate, and when you watch them play, they make it look easy. And then when you watch them live, they never play the same thing twice. Mm-hmm. So from an help me out, Josh.
Improvisational.
From an improvisational standpoint, nailed it. It's great to watch artists like that because, we kind of touched on it earlier, don't play it note by note every single night. Sure, have a structure to it, but kind of go with the flow and the feeling of that moment of that song when you're doing it. Feed off the crowd. And, don't be afraid to kind of step out of your comfort zone. And those two guys do it really well live, which I really appreciate and why I really like them. And also, too, when I was a kid, I got really big into hip-hop for a while. So from a beat standpoint, from just kind of like groove, those are a bunch of my influences. And, you can go on for days about all the influences. Bonham back in the day to Questlove to name them all. I don't know, but...
And then you became like a human 808.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always got to... Everyone loves the 808, man. When you feel it in your chest, it's boom. But, so the cymbals that I play, Ronnie Vannucci plays a lot of those too. I actually use his drumsticks, his Artist Series drumsticks. They're maple. Big boys there. That's all I can think of for my influences right now off the top of my head.
Okay. Influences early, and first song you learned?
First song I learned as a drummer? I don't know. I remember playing... It had been Immigrant Song, maybe, by Zeppelin.
Nice.
Because my older brother plays guitar and big Zeppelin fan, so little brother has to step in and, hey, you're going to try to play an Immigrant Song with me, right? Try to learn Zeppelin, so it's like... No, so it's definitely good, but yeah, definitely that one, though. Just the kind of opening groove to it, a little shuffle, and then boom. That's the one I can remember, yeah.
And how about yourself? Are you going to go into the vocal right now?
I was just gonna,
There you go.
Yeah, for me, let's see. Some of my big early influences are, of course, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Those are kind of like the first kind of top three.
Right.
Like I got into music just through Iron Maiden, discovering them in high school.
Sure.
And then
Which album?
it was totally random. I just was using like Kazaa, this like downloading like things like peer-to-peer or whatever, downloading back in the day. And I downloaded Phantom of the Opera, which is the song off their first album, and it just kind of blew me away. I was like, oh my God, what is this? I'd never heard anything like it. And like, of course, I show my friends, and like nobody likes it. Like none of my friends, nobody at my school liked Iron Maiden, but I was just like obsessed. And then from there, I kind of explored more, and like I'd already heard like Iron Man and some of the classic Sabbath songs, but I kind of delved deeper.
Right.
And I just got really into that kind of like 70s and early 80s kind of rock and heavy metal. Like I love the first Judas Priest album. It's kind of weird. It's like a bluesy one,
Sure.
Just Tony Iommi's probably my biggest guitar inspiration. He's just the man. He's got the riffs. He's got great solos. He's just a great songwriter.
Created a full genre.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, when you say you were a fan of Priest, are you saying it's like you're a fan of Tipton and Downing, or are you just a fan of the whole bit?
I love it all. Yeah, I mean, they have so many different eras, and they're all great. Like the first album is very kind of like, bluesy and different and a little, and then you have like Sad Wings and Sin After Sin are kind of more.
Oh, Sad Wings does.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so good. Like, and they're those ones versus like the '80s albums. They're very different. They're kind of more
Right.
I don't know what you call it. It got a more psychedelic, I guess.
Well, it did
amazing.
change. I mean, look, I was a fan, as a kid growing up, and then I don't know, man. When I heard Turbo, I was like, I know it turns people off. I could deal without a song like Parental Guidance. It's kind of so-so, but then they came back with like Painkiller, and I was like, that's pretty good. And then the reason I was asking was Halford's solo. I mean, well, when it was Halford, but when he did Fight and Two, I mean, what a great departure. And that Fight album at War of Worlds, what a classic, man. And they just brought some thunder when they mixed it up. I almost want to say a little bit of a grunge, but they just kept it thick and heavy and rich. And that voice, I can't think of many people that can be as close to that voice.
Oh, yeah.
Although I did see, I don't know if, are you familiar with Jim Breuer, the comedian?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see, he had this show, I think it was on Sirius XM, he does like an interview show and a guest, and Rob Halford was on.
Nice.
And Halford went out for what have you, and then came back in, but while he was out, Jim Breuer started playing Devil's Child.
Oh, nice.
And started singing it. And I got to tell you, didn't do a bad job.
Yeah.
But how amazing. And I still, whatever hair I have stood up. Because Halford walks in and he just starts nodding his head. Just grabs a microphone and starts belting it. Like no
nice.
warm-up, no nothing.
Yeah.
And they were just doing it together. It was...
God.
I mean, could you imagine that moment? That would be like you playing a Sabbath riff, and Naomi comes in and says, let me play that with you a little bit. Let's noodle together.
I'll just die.
Just die and go to heaven.
Yeah, that'd be so rad. Yeah.
So what would an influence of yours be? Oh, first song.
First song I learned for guitar, it was probably I'm trying to remember. It was like I had this beginning guitar class I took in college. It was like this rec center. We met like once a week and played. And so it was either like, it was Knocking on Heaven's Door, because it was like it's like 3 chords or something.
Right.
So that was like the first thing. So I was like, getting chords down. And then I think the first one I learned that I wanted to learn for myself was probably some Iron Maiden track. I was probably trying to learn Phantom of the Opera. Just those riffs were just too great.
What do you noodle around with anything, Maiden?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played in a while. I learned a lot of, I learned Wasted Years.
Oh yeah, that's a great opening riff.
Great, yeah. Just dun, 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 dun. And it's that's a solid song.
Well, I remember one of my favorites that it's not overly technical, but I just love the tone of it. It's the solo in Where Eagles Dare.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I just think that it kind of, you can actually see that eagle soaring as he's playing. I was just like, wow, I love that. I love that tune.
Oh, it's a great one.
I just remember, I mean, as a drummer, your first song you probably learn is probably like AC/DC Black and Black or something like that. Just some simple 4/4. So I apologize for trying to sound cool and name drop in a great song. I didn't just sit down the kit and just start doing it's probably something like doon da, which is a plethora of songs.
4 on the floor.
So.
But I appreciate your answer because it's something that you actually took time to process and actually learn.
Yeah, you gotta listen to what you're trying to play and figure out how to get your foot to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, but I was still trying to sound cool in your podcast. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Please, I mean, you got the American spirit. I mean, how much fucking cooler are you gonna be?
Well, and the hair. Look at that hair.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So okay, as a follically challenged man, I don't have a lot of hair product or hair anything to go on. You do see he has made a very salient point here. So what is there a product of choice that you're using? Because that is on point, my friend.
Are we going for more sponsors right now? Because I could take some pomade sponsors. Well, first of all, this is just all, not much going on up there. Been in a van for a few days. But I have been using...
So modest.
I don't know.
45 minutes this morning.
Yeah. I always need a mirror in the morning, a comb, and a good... We're really going to talk about my pomade choice right now?
I can't wait to hear this.
Well, what you got to look for in a good pomade, if you want to go water-based, you want to go oil-based. I go oil-based, but I always get some with little beeswax in it, some natural wax in it. It makes your hair... thicker and it holds well, and we really need to stop talking about products. I thought we'd keep the music, but anyway, yeah,
okay.
That's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do. And shampoo, great shampoo and conditioner, and also only wash your hair 3 times a week.
Fair enough. Yeah. I used to wash mine 3 times a day, so maybe that's a problem. All right, moving on. Okay, so yes,
to me, influences. Oh man, probably every rock bass player's top 3, but. Definitely a toss-up between Steve Harris and John Entwistle. Definitely early on when I got into rock and roll, which was not initially where I started, for sure.
Where'd you start?
What was it, New Age punk or whatever it was?
Okay.
Newfound Glory and Sum 41 and...
Power pop punk and...
Yeah, all that stuff.
Any Bowling for Soup or anything like that, or...
Probably. I don't know. MXPX Ska.
Look,
and Jake for sure.
You know what? I would never knock anybody. There's always room to like what you like. There's no shame. There's no drama with that. I mean, look, if anybody out there has not seen a Bowling for Soup video, I highly suggest it. It's some fun shit. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah. So go ahead. You were starting
I was like one of those weird skater kids that wanted to put wax on everything and try to do cool stuff without putting an end of a skateboard deck up my nuts. And then ironically, Sum 41 actually changed my life. Because they were huge. They are huge metalheads, and
right.
They all love Iron Maiden, which therefore Iron Maiden changed my life.
There you go.
Oh, that's a cool punk band. Let's check out Iron Maiden. I guess they're pretty neat. And then it was Run to the Hills, and I was like, well, my life is now complete. Eddie is pretty punk.
He is punk. He's got the.
They started off.
He must have more of a.
Was very punk.
I apologize. He must have more of like a hairspray product than a pomade. Eddie.
I think he teases a lot.
It was the 80s, so it probably was hairspray. Right?
I'm guessing Aquanet. That's what I'll go with. That's like
really
shellac.
Like Skynet? I have no idea what Aquanet is. Yeah.
Back in the day, when cars ran on steam, that's when they used to have this stuff called Aquanet. Oh yeah. I'll when we're off mic, and luckily nobody's going to see this, I'll show you a picture of something that I used to look like. So
we can't wait now. Then I better stop talking. Then I want to see this picture.
So okay, go.
Sorry. Yeah, Steve Harris, John Entwistle, Cliff Burton are probably my top 3.
Right.
Mel Shocker, Grand Funk Railroad.
Oh, good pull.
Bootsy Collins, absolutely.
Right.
James Jamerson, for sure. Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power.
Really?
Oh, man, his finger style is unreal. White dude with some groove.
Right. So you like the funk?
Yeah, I was real into funk for a long time. But yeah, Steve Harris, Bobby and I were talking about length today about Iron Maiden.
Right.
But yeah, Steve Harris is a huge influence of mine. And then somebody just happened to show me The Who's Live at Leeds, My Generation. It's like 14 minutes of just John Entwistle just absolutely being a complete beast. And that was like, all right, who is this guy?
Right. It's a very good point. I remember I used to work with this guy, Ori. If you're out there somewhere, brother, hit me up. He would always talk about the old bands, whether it was The Who or he was a Beatles fan, Stones. And I get it. I love that stuff. But The Who, I wasn't getting.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I was watching MTV when they would do some retro day, and they'd play Magic Bus, and I'm like, okay, it's nice. My Generation, okay, yeah. I get it. And he's like, no, you got to hear some of their live stuff. You just have to. Now, at the time, I was like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer fan, and I heard it, and I was floored at there were almost elements of that. I don't want to say thrash, but it was close. Like there was so much. It was so involved. And it was so damn good, and I became a fan ever since then because just of hearing it live.
That rhythm section, Keith Moon and John Entwistle, is just controlled chaos.
He's the original Animal, man.
Yeah. Absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
First song I learned is "Hit or Miss" by Newfound Glory.
Ah, okay. You know what? Kudos to you, my brother, for not saying "Smoke on the Water."
No,
how about that?
I don't think I ever actually learned that whole song.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, well, I'm glad I picked such a short question and answer there. Let me just go around. How about this? Any sports fans? What's your sport of choice?
My 2 favorite are hockey and baseball.
And
gotta pick 2.
And teams?
Well, I grew up in St. Louis, so favorite are St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Cardinals. Being Angelino now, and being a big fan of baseball. I love the Dodgers, love the organization, love the history, love the stadium. So those are my top 3 teams. And the Kings, yeah.
Right on.
LA now, so.
Did you play growing up?
Yeah, I played a little hockey and baseball growing up, so it's fun.
And how about yourself? Are you a sports fan?
Oh, yeah, sure. But mainly it's just hockey.
Mainly. Yeah. All right. So 2 hockey fans here. Hockey, yes or no?
Oh yeah, no. I don't really watch like almost any sports. I used to watch basketball. I used to be into basketball because my cousin-in-law played for the Golden State Warriors back in the 90s when nobody cared about them. But he was really good. He played for Utah Jazz before. And so I watched it back then, but I've just been way too busy. I haven't kept up with any sports at all. I watch the Super Bowl and that's about it.
I'm the same way. I'm a big MMA fan, but all the other stuff, I couldn't name a player. Yeah. I could barely. Movies? Any genres? Anything recent or a favorite?
Man, I guess this kind of touches like musical influences too. As a kid, I was big into movie soundtracks. So one of those first CDs I got was actually Best of John Williams, which if anyone is unfamiliar with John Williams out there, you really need to come out from the rock because he's the guy behind the Star Wars theme, Indiana Jones, Jaws, list goes on and on, E.T. So Spielberg was a huge fan. I was a huge fan. He's a huge fan of me too, I'm sure. But I'm a fan of his back in the day. I don't know about his recent stuff. I haven't seen it in a while. But I can't pick a favorite movie genre. There's some great comedies. Monty Python, remember seeing that as a kid, a lot from my parents, and Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and I used to watch those religiously. And then when Jurassic Park came out, I was
smitten.
I could memorize every scene in the whole movie and replay it in my head.
So you're going to be there opening day for the newest one?
Yeah, June 22nd.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what about yourself? Favorite movies, or you got anything?
Yeah. Similarly, I also like movie scores. My dad kind of works in movie business. He's been in the business his whole life doing various different things.
Right.
But so he like my first kind of music I listened to was just the music he had, and so we'd pop on. My brother and I would pop on a CD, and our favorite was this. It was like a movie soundtrack. It was John Williams. It was Danny Elfman. Various themes from cool movies.
Sure.
And I just remember listening, and we'd like play with our G.I. Joes, listening to this movie soundtracks. But favorite genre would probably be I don't know if it's a genre, but I love the 80s movies. Like,
okay, are you talking like a John Hughes style, like those,
no,
or
more like I love John Carpenter.
Okay,
like,
so
like
Halloween,
his
yeah.
horror and stuff like The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween's classic. I love Big Trouble in Little China. Is one of my favorite movies. Obviously, Belshazzar has lyrics in it. And I love Indiana Jones. Something just about 80s movies they just have their own kind of quality that's like just a little bit different. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I get you.
It's like a slight. I mean, they're a little cheesy, but it's like I don't know. It's more fun.
The 90s got cheesy.
The 90s got pretty. I mean, they say there's a lot of cheese.
What was the movie called where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant and Danny DeVito?
Oh my God!
Twins
yeah.
or no? Is that called no? That's not Twins.
Twins was one movie.
That's another one. Yeah.
What the hell was that movie? I know.
Yeah, it's street.
Oh no!
It's,
I like that. That was good though.
we know what we're all talking about. We just can't think of the name, but yeah. Point being, you got cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pumping iron or something, probably. Yeah.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that band? There was a band.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
they
used all
only
those
did
Arnold's
Arnold's quotes as their song. Was it Armageddon Death Machine?
Yeah, something
Was
like
that
it? No, Austrian Death
Austrian Death Machine.
Yeah, Austrian Death Machine.
Oh, what a great great thing to check
good.
out if you haven't. Find it and just enjoy. Was Josh from Queens of the Stone Age in that?
I don't know.
I know I'm talking out my ass, but at least I remember listening to that. I just thought that was hysterical. That was in their lyrics.
Yeah. So good. So good. Oh, it's glorious.
Have conversations and just pure music or movie quotes, right?
Oh, constantly, all day.
Writing songs about that? Yeah. That'd be cool.
And I swear, you're right. It seems to be just a total guy thing. Can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So you got just a few dates left. I know this is going to air after you're done. But is there any place you haven't played that you want to try out?
I think we want to cross the Mississippi. We haven't gone east. We just played Denver 3 nights ago, whatever it was, and that's as far east as we ever gone. Right.
Texas.
Oh, Austin. Yeah, we did South by for 2 years. So yeah, technically that's further east, but the whole East Coast and Europe
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. There's some great areas out in the East Coast. And some great bands. You can travel up and down the whole thing, and you can always find somebody to play with. Just travel. Like if you're going east to west, you take the I-10. If you're going north south on the East Coast, you take I-95. Mm-hmm. Pretty simple. So I'm bringing this up again because my girlfriend brought it up to me that I have not been asking the question to ask another band. Cannot remember for the life of me. I put it in my phone so I wouldn't forget it, and of course I can't find it in my phone. I probably erased it because I had no idea what the statement meant. So I will ask you this, and I swear to everybody listening, I'm going to try to remember this. I will actually put it in my phone. These gentlemen can see me put it in my phone. Do you have a question to ask another band?
This is the question she wants you to ask us?
No, this is a question like what my initial concept for doing this was at the end of each interview I wanted to see if the band that I'm interviewing has a question that they want to ask another band. I never know who it's going to be. My guess is it might be Church.
Nice. Yeah, those guys are cool.
Wow, I would just say, what does the phrase "for the sake of the song" mean to you? Maybe.
Okay.
And because it's a Town Van Zandt quote.
Okay.
That a friend of ours back in L.A. He's a big Town Van Zandt fan. Chris Farr out there, if you're listening, I miss you. But for the sake of the song, something we talked about, because we played in project together, and it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do for the sake of the song? And also, too, what does the song mean to you? You know, what do you want to move people with? I want people to feel it, and what are you willing to sacrifice to get to it? Because it's, you know, not easy doing this whole band thing at this level. And so it's like, what are you willing to do for the sake of the song? And it could also be for the sake of whatever you're trying to do out there, whatever your passion is, whatever you're trying to get out of life. It's like, for the sake of that, what are you trying to do? So ask the band that and see what they go. What? Huh?
Yeah, we're getting deep.
Well, also ask them what hair products they use.
Well, it's almost like a given. It's like a right angle is 90 degrees. It's like a given.
Hair products.
Also, and I.
Who snores the most?
Who snores the most? Yeah, that would definitely be me. So I was going to end it there, but I did have one thing because I'm actually staring at your van. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm staring. Had to do the 5. I'm staring at the van. This is the Vampires tour. So, lastly, I would just like to ask this: can you name a few van essentials that you needed to bring on the road, or something that makes life on the road a little bit easier for you?
Almonds.
Are we talking like the Emerald brand, or do you care?
Whatever's on sale at Walgreens, I just got. Yeah, any place to go. I mean, not salted, not flavored, just raw, pure almonds.
All right.
For me, I'd say van essential is books.
Okay.
I have a ridiculous amount of books in the van because in Kalispell, we came across this bookstore that had, there's this author I like named E.C. Tubb. He's a sci-fi writer from the 60s and 70s, and he's been out of print for a long time. So it's hard to find his books. And I just walked in this bookstore, and I literally found a box of 50 of his books.
Wow.
So I just bought them all. Like, I bought
had
the
to.
entire box.
Yeah.
So there's like at least, like just counting my books, probably like 60 books.
There's a Powell's bookstore in Portland that we love going to every time we go through Portland.
That's another tradition.
I've been there it's another tradition because we've done it 3 times, so, you know, it's official. Every time we go there, we pick up books. I picked up some great books there last year. This last time I just got Sapiens, A Brief History of Mankind. It's a fantastic book. I already finished it in a few days since then. But, Powell's bookstore is a great place. Yeah. Can't think of the name in Kalispell that we were at that week. It was a great little find, too.
Right next to
Old School Records, yeah.
Something books.
Yeah.
Go there.
Something books. Do it.
I'll be doing an interview with Wizzerd when they come through here, so I'll ask them. They'll know. They'll absolutely know.
Yeah.
Also, ask them how they feel about their amazing throne toilet.
Really? Okay. I'm not gonna. Don't tell me anything. I'll bring it up.
Is that a Montana thing? Because we crashed with another band that also had this So basically, this toilet, and we were crashing with them at their house.
Right.
And in the basement, they have kind of a semi-finished basement, and also where they practice, and they have a bathroom that has a 2-tiered toilet. Where there's a platform, then the toilet.
However, the ceiling isn't higher, so when you walk up to just go to the restroom, number 1, you do almost like this power stance to pee. So maybe that's why they do it, because you got to get up on the steps and kind of do this on the side and just kind of relieve yourself. Yeah. Maybe that's it. But yeah, there's 2 of them. And if we go to another house in Montana, there's 3 of them. Yeah, it's a thing. Because the rules of 3. That's how it works.
All right. So do you have any van essentials?
Water? Absolutely.
Okay. I have heard over time, baby wipes. People say baby wipes a lot. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying.
No,
just throwing it out there.
I have some. I snagged some of those hand wipes. You get we got them from a barbecue restaurant in Vancouver.
Sure.
I just grabbed a bunch because these would be
ideal.
Yeah,
yeah, you never know.
Have you used them yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm saving them.
Very ideal.
For I don't know.
It's for a special moment. Let's be honest. You can't just break that out any day.
Yeah, you never know when you need it. Boy Scout, be prepared, you know.
Yeah, and let God willing or Lord willing, maybe you'll get a chance to use it on this tour. Let's hope.
Yeah,
there's
only hope.
It's all we can do. We can just hope and dream. Gentlemen, it's been awesome, but you had something else to say.
So the ability to find cheap gas.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Gas buddy.
What is with the fucking prices?
It's outrageous.
Oh my God.
And let me tell you, Canadian gas prices are even higher than here.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. I mean, almost like, I think in Vancouver we paid almost $5 a gallon.
Ugh.
It was crazy.
No, that's awful, man. I can only imagine. I know I've seen prices go up and down, blah blah blah, like everybody else. And if you ever go to in Orlando, it's Disney World, right? Yeah. So you go, an eighth of a mile away from Disney World, and they have no problem. They'll charge $6.30 a gallon for gas, and then you go down 2 miles in the road, and it's like $2.30. Yeah. Like shit. I mean, it's such a gouge.
I hate that.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna get there. So yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, my car was stolen almost 2 years ago now. My place with
like
my old
one day before our tour.
Yeah, one day before our tour last year, my car was stolen, and the one time after rehearsing, I left my cymbals in there, and they got my cymbals. But silver lining, that's how I came across the new set of cymbals I have now. So it forced me to figure out what kind of sound I want to get. So it all works out in the end.
It all works out. There was what band was it? War Cloud, I think it was. That did you know? Yeah, I got the shirt on now. The drummer was telling me a story that they were driving. Yeah, Joaquin, they were
our buddy.
They were driving. Did he tell you about this? Where they were driving, and all of a sudden, like he's just like, "Where's the kick drum?" And like the back of the van was open. It's freaking gone somewhere.
Oh
yeah,
my God!
It just vanished.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
They didn't notice that the back of the van was open and it just fell out.
You know what? I just listened. I just look.
Awesome.
There's a story I could tell, but I'm not going to bother. Of something that I had on the top of a roof that really, it probably caused an accident somewhere, and I'm so sorry to anybody that it did. But
What was it?
Well, it was all right. I might as well say it was a metal ladder. I had a full ladder on the top of the vehicle, and I turned around and I was like, well, where'd it go? It's gone. So, sorry guys. I'm assuming everybody just stopped. One person got it, picked it up, put it to the side of the road, or took it home because it was beautiful, it was brand new.
The van.
And you never know.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm sure of it. So, gentlemen, look, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to wish you the best success, safe travels in the rest of this tour, and I really hope to come across from you again. I missed you the first few times. I've had some issues where it just so happens when you're in town, something happened where I wasn't able to, and I'm so honored to have met you all. Thank you so much for your time and the discussion. I really appreciate it, guys.
Dude, thank you, sir. This was a blast.
Thanks. Safe travels. Thank the guys in Salem's Bend for hanging out with me after their show late on a Sunday night. Let's hear a track from them. This is called Queen of the Desert. Next up is a band out of the Ukraine that bring a psychedelic stoner-style rock from, I believe it's pronounced Kyiv. If I'm mistaken, I do apologize. This is the band Risin Sabotage, that's spelled R-I-S-I-N and then Sabotage. And the track is called Serpent. Check this out. Towards the end, it's doomtombpodcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on social media at doomtombpodcast. You can also download from iTunes, and if you are downloading and subscribing, please leave a review. 5 stars would be awesome. You can also leave a review on the Facebook page. So, until the next episode, in the meantime, the in-between time, enjoy yourselves. Keep going to the shows. Buy some band merch every once in a while, and don't forget to stay heavy.